Welcome to Battle Bus Live. I am Brian Rose, and we are live here on the digital Battle Bus, visiting the boroughs of Bexley, Bromley, Croydon, which I'm going through right now. You can see the buildings behind me, and we're heading over to Greenwich. We're then going to take the ferry across the River Thames, and we're going to make it back to our homestead. Super excited to be with you today. As you can see, on this Saturday, we have some fine British weather behind me. It's quite moist out there, which is good. It makes our green spaces even greener. And we've had an exciting morning, I won't lie to you. We were over at Bexley, which is home to the Crossness Pumping Station. And if you don't know much about that, that's Sir Joseph Bazalgette's contribution to what was at the time London's major sewage problem. The River Thames used to smell so bad, it had so much sewage in there. And thanks to the folks in Bexley, they pretty much solved that with the pumping station, and also thanks to James Watt steam engine. And that is James Watt as in the unit of energy watt. When I was at MIT learning engineering, they taught me about this unit of energy called a watt. I never thought that one day I would be mayor of the city where that man built the pump. So I was super excited to be there. I'll be honest, I geeked out a little bit as an engineer. And we also got a visit from the local police. I just posted that picture on Instagram, so go check it out. They were following us around. They probably just wanted a picture with me and the bus, and I totally get that. And again, we really appreciate the police officers out there. And I'll talk more about a few run-ins we've had with them recently. Next, we went on to Bromley and actually went to Charles Darwin's house. It's called Downes House, and this is the actual structure where he penned the book, The Origin of Species. That idea that the survival of the fittest, that whole concept happened in Bromley. So we're just super excited to be in Bromley. Thanks for having us. And I took a tour of the outside of his house. You know, this whole concept of the survival of the fittest or the best idea wins is why we've been so successful and why we are going to be your next mayor of London, because we have the best ideas and you know it. And that's why we're going to take them there. Unfortunately, in politics, it seems to me that the worst idea seems to win most of the time. I'm sure you've experienced that as a citizen, and we're going to change that on May 6th when we have free and fair elections. Next, we got to Croydon, which is where we are now, and right near me here is the Brit School of Performing Arts. That's the same school that produced Adele. Yes, Adele, that worldwide known pop singer. Also, Amy Winehouse. She went to the Brit School, as well as the actor Tom Holland. So I want to thank Croydon for producing such incredible talent, and also thank you for having us. I'm going to be talking about some of your local issues. And now we're heading over to Greenwich. Greenwich is home of the O2 Arena, or as Drake would said, turn the O2 into the O3. I love that place. And also the Royal Observatory is there. I've been there with my daughter. We walked around. We saw the incredible clocks that also created longitude. And that's where Greenwich Mean Time is. And the Meridian is right there. So we're coming through to see you in Greenwich. It's been a packed out day. It's a Saturday, but we don't stop over here because becoming your next mayor of London, it's so important to us. We have to do it, because we can't sit by and watch this current crop of politicians run the city that we love into the ground. If you feel that way too, please leave me a comment right now wherever you're following us. Share this video to your friends and family. Let them know that something big is happening in London, and we think we're going to change the future, and we think this will be a model for all cities around the world. I just want to say before I get started on today's topic that a lot of these boroughs face some real local issues. And I know in Bexley, you're facing problems with not having enough transport infrastructure getting you into London. I think that's a real issue, because if these outer boroughs can't connect to the center, it's not exactly the centralized commerce that we want. So we're going to be looking into those issues for Bexley. Also, you have 32,000 houses that are supposed to be built in Bexley over the next 20 years. We need to make sure that happens. Your current mayor of London has a history of breaking his promises when it comes to building houses. And he promised us 400,000 new homes over the past 5 years. Do you know how many he's delivered? 12,000 homes. That's 3% of what he promised. So I would say to Bexley, we've got to make sure you get those homes built by holding our elected officials accountable. Also, Bexley knows you have the lowest number of GPs in any borough. This is a real concern. And recently, we were actually quite concerned that the Bexley Council has pushed for 14 million pounds of spending cuts, including the closure of children's centers. And I want to talk about that today. Also, in Greenwich, struggling from real problems there, 43% of the borough's children in Greenwich live in poverty. That's 21,000 children right now are in poverty, some struggling to get regular meals every day. It's the third worst borough in London, and it needs our attention. Councillor Sarah Merrill recently said that, quote, Food banks were created for people with no public funds. And yet today, they are an essential, recognized part of our social security system. Something's wrong with that. Something's broken here. And you got to look to the top. Look to the top floor in the City Hall. That's your current mayor of London. He is failing us, and he has broken his promises repeatedly. And I know a bit about food banks. We were recently at the Barking Food Bank, and I went and saw Obi, who's an incredible guy. He actually came to London from his native country in Nigeria, and he's running an incredible service there with the food banks. And we brought him a lot of long life milk. We brought him tinned meats and vegetables, and we really support what he's doing there. And he said they're needed now more than ever. Next, let's move on to Croydon. We're going through Croydon right now in the downtown. Croydon effectively declared bankruptcy last year. Yes, you heard that right, bankruptcy. It's got a £67 million hole in its budget, and it's projected to overspend next year by £47 million. Your former chief executive, Joe Negrini, left allegedly with a £440,000 severance package. £440,000 severance package, that's in times of COVID. I think we need to hold our leadership accountable, and this is unacceptable. And finally, I want to say to the people in Bromley, we know that your council is trying to commercialize your parks and open spaces, and we stand with you that your parks and your open spaces are not for sale.